Ready to take a deep dive? We're going to unlock some seriously cool stuff from Brianna Wiest's 101 essays that will change the way you think. It's all about personal growth, emotional intelligence, and how to find true happiness in this crazy modern world.
This book really digs into the why behind our emotions. It pushes us beyond those surface level self-help tips.
Totally. Like
hmm
right from the start, Weist throws out this idea that grab me to change your life. You got to change your mind.
Yeah.
She says it's something you see a lot in folks who are successful and happy. And she connects this back to like our ancestors and how they innovated. Agriculture, forming societies, even medicine. This wasn't random, was it?
Oh, absolutely not. Imagine our ancestors inventing agriculture just for kicks. It was survival, pure and simple. Discomfort. It pushes us to think differently. It opens up new possibilities.
Instead of chasing goals blindly, it's more about looking inward at our beliefs, those patterns in our thinking, being willing to shift them when they don't serve us anymore.
Exactly. But here's where it gets interesting. The book kind of throws a wrench in the idea that we can just decide what we want and go get it. Weiss says we're not psychologically capable of predicting what'll make us happy.
Whoa, hold up. You're telling me my whole 5-year plan is a bust.
Not quite. But think about how our brains are wired to recreate the past. When we imagine happiness in the future, we're just projecting old patterns onto the unknown. True happiness. It's often found in the stuff we haven't even thought of yet.
Okay, so if we can't predict it, how do we find this elusive happiness?
Well, the book emphasizes that happiness is a process, not a destination. Here's the thing. We can only truly grasp what's happening right here, right now, this very second. Getting caught up in illusions of the past, of the future, it pulls you away from genuine happiness. It's not just a feel-good philosophy. It's literally how our brains function best.
So living in the moment is more than just some catchy phrase, huh?
hmm
It's actually the key to a more authentic life. Now, get this, she dives into this concept called the illusion of I. Basically, she's saying our bodies aren't truly who we are.
Think about this for a second. Your heart, it's sitting right there on a table. Do you look at it and think, that's me? No, right? It's your heart. It's separate. This helps us understand that we're more than our physical parts.
And she takes it even further, saying that attaching meaning to things like our values, our likes, even our own sense of self, it creates limits. These attachments actually hold us back from being truly free.
So this begs the question, if we're not just our bodies or even our thoughts and preferences, then what are we? What's this something more that exists beyond the physical?
That's the big mystery, isn't it? Why suggest exploring this unknown, this space beyond what we think we know? It could lead to greater freedom, detaching from the limits we create for ourselves.
Now let's tackle this whole upper limit on happiness thing. Wiest argues many of us resist happiness deep down because we're afraid of becoming complacent. We equate happiness with settling, with giving up on achieving more.
Wow, I totally relate to that. It's like we're programmed to keep striving, right?
Yeah.
Always chasing that next big thing, but never allowing ourselves to be truly happy with where we are.
Exactly. It comes from a place of not trusting ourselves, not trusting the universe. We think, if I'm happy now, I'll lose my motivation, my sense of purpose.
So how do we break free from that fear and actually embrace happiness?
Wiest outlines three distinct types of happiness: pleasure, grace, and excellence. Think about biting into a delicious slice of chocolate cake. Pure pleasure, right? Now imagine looking up at the stars, feeling awestruck by the universe, and recognizing your place in it. That's grace.
Okay, got those two. But excellence, where does that fit in with happiness?
Excellence is about the deep satisfaction we derive from engaging in meaningful work, from pushing our boundaries, pursuing something bigger than ourselves. Think of being in the flow state. You're so absorbed in a challenging task, you lose track of time. That's the joy of excellence. It's not about reaching the peak of the mountain, but about loving the climb.
This is making me reconsider how I approach work and goals. Speaking of navigating the complexities of life, what about social intelligence? Wyeth gives some insightful perspectives on that.
Instead of shutting down conversations with definitive statements like, this is wrong, someone with social intelligence fosters open dialogue, acknowledging different viewpoints. They might say, I don't fully understand or agree with your perspective, but I'm open to learning more, creating a space for conversation instead of imposing their beliefs.
So it's about being less rigid, more open to other viewpoints, even if we don't agree. What else does she highlight?
Well, another key aspect is being able to take criticism without getting defensive, really listening to feedback, even when it's tough, and considering it before reacting emotionally. This ties into separating opinions from facts. Instead of labeling someone a jerk, a socially intelligent person might say, my interaction with him made me uncomfortable.
Owning your experience without projecting it onto others as fact. I can see how that would lead to better communication.
And lastly, she cautions against overgeneralizations like you always or you never. Social intelligence involves using language that feels safe, creating a space for open dialogue and understanding to flourish.
This reminds me of so many conversations where I could have been more socially intelligent.
Okay.
Let's shift gears to those pesky limiting beliefs that hold us back. Wayist addresses some common expectations that folks carry, especially in their 20s, that can hinder growth.
One big one is this pressure to be extraordinary, to achieve some grand level of success, often defined by external factors. But think about this: true fulfillment often comes from finding meaning in the ordinary, in those everyday experiences.
That's a great perspective. It takes the pressure off striving for this unattainable standard of being special. It allows us to appreciate the beauty in the seemingly mundane. What other limiting beliefs does she address?
Well, there's this common belief that we can outsmart or avoid pain. We try to think our way out of it, predict it, avoid it at all costs.
Ouch, I'm definitely guilty of that. But she's saying that's actually holding us back.
Pretending pain doesn't exist. It only diminishes our capacity for growth. We can't control life's challenges, but we can choose how we respond. Embracing pain instead of resisting it is key to real growth and resilience.
It's not about becoming immune to pain, but about having the strength to move through it when it arises. What other misconceptions does she discuss?
She also tackles this belief that love is something we get from others.
I'm really curious to hear her perspective on this. Love is so complex and often misunderstood.
She kind of flips the script, asserting that love isn't external, it's something that already exists within us. Think about it, we only allow ourselves to feel love when we believe others love us, but that feeling, that capacity for love, it comes from within.
That's deep. It suggests we have more control over our experience of love than we realize. Okay, this next one might seem counterintuitive, especially in our always-on, always-hustling culture. The power of doing nothing. Wiest really makes a case for incorporating stillness into our lives, something we often see as unproductive or lazy.
It's about pushing back against that pressure to constantly be productive, recognizing that our brains actually recharge and process during rest.
So it's not about being lazy. It's about giving our minds the space to consolidate memories, regulate emotions, make those connections that spark new ideas and creativity.
Think of your brain like a muscle. It needs recovery to function at its best. An athlete needs rest days to rebuild and get stronger. Our minds, they need downtime too, to process and integrate experiences.
Doing nothing is actually giving our minds a chance to do crucial work behind the scenes. This is making me reconsider my whole approach to scheduling and self-care. Okay, now on to something many folks struggle with: social sensitivity or even social anxiety. Wiest offers some comforting insights for those who feel unsure in social situations.
Imagine you're at a party feeling awkward, unsure of yourself. Weiss assures us that feeling uncertain in social situations, completely normal. It's a natural human response.
And she even says worrying about whether your social anxiety is abnormal is also normal. It shows you're self-aware.
It's recognizing that these feelings are more common than we realize, and they don't have to define us.
That's really reassuring to hear. Now, for this powerful concept, reframing mental breakdowns as breakthroughs, we suggest breakdowns are often a sign of positive change, a necessary process of breaking free from an old normal to get to something better.
Think of a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. The process isn't always pretty or comfortable, is it? But it's necessary. Similarly, intense inner turmoil might not be a sign that something's wrong. It could mean something within us is shifting.
So instead of feeling emotional upheaval, we can view it as a chance for profound growth. What are some signs of breakdown as becoming a breakthrough?
Lunas outlines a few. Questioning everything you once believed. Recognizing the difference between happy thoughts and happy feelings. Identifying recurring patterns in your behavior.
Becoming more aware of our thoughts, challenging our beliefs, and making choices to not be controlled by our minds. This gives me a whole new perspective on those times I've felt lost or overwhelmed.
That's what's so great about Wiest's work. It invites us to reframe experiences, to see challenges as chances for growth. Now let's look at how she applies Zen principles to modern life.
I'm always fascinated by how ancient wisdom can be applied to today's challenges. Which Zen principles does she highlight?
One is living in the present moment, which we've already touched on. It's about being aware of our immediate experience, savoring each moment without getting lost in the past or future.
So shifting focus from what was or what might be to what is right now, what other Zen principles does she emphasize?
Another is acceptance. Accepting what is without resisting it, recognizing we can't control every aspect of life and that fighting reality only creates suffering. This ties into letting go of attachments to possessions to outcomes.
Releasing our need to control and finding freedom in what is. I can see how that would lead to peace.
And lastly, finding peace through objectively observing our own minds. It's about separating ourselves from our thoughts, recognizing that we're not our thoughts and feelings, we are the observer.
By cultivating this awareness, we just suggest we can detach from the mental chatter, access a deeper peace and clarity. This is all so insightful. I can't wait to see what she shares in the next section.
Stick with us for part two, where we'll keep exploring Brianna Wiest's amazing book. Welcome back. We're continuing our exploration of 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna Wiest. We've been digging deep into personal growth, the quest for happiness, and I think we're about to go even deeper.
Definitely excited for more of these transformative ideas. We've already talked about how changing our minds can change our lives, the importance of living in the moment, and even question the idea of the I. What I'm curious about is, how do we apply these concepts practically?
Weiss gives some really helpful guidance on integrating these ideas into our everyday lives. She talks a lot about recognizing and letting go of expectations that don't serve us, especially those that a lot of us carry in our 20s.
Well, as someone navigating my 20s, I'm all ears. Which expectations specifically?
One common one is this pressure to be extraordinary, to achieve this grand level of success that society dictates. Weizen encourages us to shift our focus away from that external validation and find meaning in the ordinary, those everyday moments that truly make up a rich life.
That really resonates with me. It takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Trying to achieve some arbitrary level of special. It allows us to appreciate the beauty in the simple things.
Exactly. She also challenges this idea that we can avoid or outsmart pain. This often leads to unhealthy coping mechanisms that stunt our growth.
Well, I know I've tried to avoid pain before, but she's saying that's actually counterproductive.
Well, think about it. Pain is a part of life, isn't it? We can't control or predict life's challenges, but we can control how we respond to them. Embracing pain, rather than resisting it, is essential for resilience, for learning from those difficult experiences.
So it's not about trying to eliminate pain completely, but about developing the strengths to navigate it.
For those who struggle with body image, Weiss proposes a fascinating shift. She says to move our attention from how our bodies look to what they enable us to do.
Oh, that's interesting. So instead of fixating on flaws, we should appreciate our bodies for what they allow us to experience.
And she encourages creating our own holiday traditions, rituals that reflect our values, not just adhering to societal expectations. It's about giving those special occasions meaning that truly resonates with us.
I love that. A way to break free from the pressure to conform and create celebrations that bring genuine joy. Now, let's go back to this idea of doing nothing that Wiest advocates for. It can seem strange in our go-go-go society.
It's essential to understand that our brains need downtime to consolidate memories, regulate emotions, to make those connections that lead to new insights. Think of it as letting your mind breathe, integrate experiences, generate new ideas.
Doing nothing is a way to care for our minds then.
She also encourages us to develop a healthy relationship with discomfort, to lean into those challenging experiences that push us out of our comfort zones rather than trying to constantly avoid them.
So it's about recognizing that growth happens when we're willing to stretch ourselves, to step outside of what feels familiar.
Now, for those who overthink or get stuck in mental loops, Wiest suggests engaging in activities that involve our hands, cooking, cleaning, spending time in nature.
That's a great idea. It's about grounding ourselves, isn't it? Shifting our focus away from our thoughts and into our senses, the present moment.
She also encourages us to move beyond black and white thinking, to embrace complexity and nuance.
To acknowledge that there are different ways of looking at things, I imagine that leads to a lot more understanding and empathy.
For those struggling with anxiety or worry, she suggests a shift in objective. Instead of aiming to eliminate those negative thoughts and feelings, which is unrealistic, try to aim for a healthier relationship with them.
It makes sense, recognizing that those thoughts and feelings are normal, but that we don't have to be controlled by them.
She also suggests identifying our comfort zones and intentionally stepping back into them sometimes. Personal growth is gradual. It needs those periods of rest and integration.
Not about constantly pushing ourselves, but about finding that sustainable rhythm of challenge and consolidation.
Now, this next one might be tough to hear. Weiss says we need to stop pretending we know what other people are thinking.
Uh-oh, something I definitely need to work on. I often catch myself analyzing others, trying to figure out their motives.
It's something we all do, but it often leads to misunderstandings, unnecessary anxiety, a distorted view of reality. Weiss suggests we let go of that need to control or predict others' thoughts. Focus on our own actions.
It's a good reminder that we can't control what other people think, and trying to only creates more stress.
And she extends this idea to the future. We need to stop pretending we know what's going to happen.
That resonates a lot with me. It's about accepting the unknown, letting go of that need to control every outcome.
Wiest emphasizes that our sense of self is a mental construct. It's crucial for personal growth and healthy relationships.
That's powerful. Could you explain what she means by that?
Our beliefs about ourselves shape our experiences, our interactions with the world. If we believe we can handle pain or loss, we're more likely to be resilient when faced with those challenges.
So it's about cultivating a deep belief in ourselves,
Hmm.
our ability to handle whatever life throws at us.
She suggests we redefine our sense of self based on qualities that aren't superficial. Things like resilience, compassion, a thirst for new experiences.
It's about moving beyond defining ourselves by things like appearance or achievements, embracing a more authentic sense of self that's rooted in our values.
Now, for those who struggle with anxiety or intrusive thoughts, Wiest offers some comfort. She reminds us that irrational thoughts, like any other emotion, are just a part of life.
So it's not a sign that we're broken. Everyone has them.
Exactly, it's normal. Even the most well-adjusted people have strange, irrational, even disturbing thoughts sometimes. It's not about eliminating them, but learning to detach, to observe them without judgment, to not let them control us.
That's a helpful way to reframe it.
Now, here's something interesting. She actually draws a connection between worry and creativity.
When you think about it, it kind of makes sense. Our minds naturally go into problem-solving mode when we perceive a threat.
Wiest suggests we view those fears as catalysts for growth, recognizing that anxieties can spark innovative solutions, lead to breakthroughs.
So instead of fearing those anxieties, we can see them as opportunities.
Let's talk about the importance of mentally checking out. It might seem counterintuitive in our fast-paced world, but Wiest argues that allowing ourselves to disengage from the constant mental chatter and external demands can actually boost creativity and productivity.
It's recognizing that our minds need time to process, to connect the dots, to generate new ideas. Stepping away from constant stimulation creates space for inspiration.
She also encourages us to find meaning in the work we're doing now, rather than longing for some idealized career that might not even fit our current situation. It's about bringing purpose to our present work, regardless of external recognition.
Finding fulfillment in the journey itself, not just the destination. Appreciating the work we're doing right now, even if it isn't our dream job.
She highlights the power of a spend cleanse, a period of time where we intentionally reduce our spending and rely on what we already have.
This is a great idea. It promotes financial responsibility, but also helps us appreciate the abundance we already have.
It's about shifting the focus from acquiring more to appreciating what we possess, recognizing that true contentment comes from within, not from external things.
Such an important reminder in our materialistic world. It's so easy to get caught in that cycle of wanting more. But true fulfillment comes from gratitude.
Wiest also challenges this belief that we can achieve lasting happiness by constantly working on ourselves, striving for some perfect version of ourselves.
I've definitely fallen into that trap. Thinking happiness is something I have to constantly work towards.
While personal growth is valuable, she suggests that the goal isn't to eliminate all our struggles. It's about understanding the purpose and meaning behind those struggles. It's about accepting the messiness of being human, recognizing that growth and transformation are ongoing.
So life is a journey, not a destination. Growth and transformation happen throughout our lives.
She reminds us that we can't control what others think of us, no matter how hard we try, no matter how perfect we try to be.
Oh, it's so easy to get caught up in that, isn't it? Seeking external validation and worrying about what others think.
It's important to remember that we can't control their perceptions. Their judgments say more about them than they do about us. Finally, she encourages us to step outside, gaze at the stars, connect with something bigger than ourselves, gain some perspective.
I love that image. It reminds us that our problems, while valid, are often small in the grand scheme of things. Connecting with the vastness of the universe helps us find peace. Welcome back to our final exploration of Brianna Wiest's 101 essays that will change the way you think. We've uncovered some really profound ideas about personal growth, happiness, what it means to be human, and this last section. Oh, it's packed with even more transformative concepts. Get ready for a perspective shift.
Seriously, get ready to have your mind blown. We've already covered so much ground, from changing our minds to embracing discomfort to the power of just being still. But there are still more gems to unearth in Weist's work.
Let's get to it then. I'm so intrigued to hear what else she has to share.
All right, well, we're going to start with something that might seem kind of paradoxical. Weist proposes that a lot of people, they don't actually want to be happy.
Whoa, hold on. Isn't happiness like something we're all hardwired to seek? What makes her say that?
It's like this. We might consciously think we want happiness, but deep down, many of us sabotage our own joy because we're afraid of becoming complacent. They think happiness equals giving up on ambition, settling for less than they're capable of.
It's almost like we're programmed to always be striving for the next thing, right? And in that constant chase, we miss out on the simple joys right in front of us.
This fear of happiness often comes from a lack of trust,
Yeah.
not trusting ourselves, not trusting the universe. We think, if I'm truly happy now, I'll lose my motivation, my drive.
So it's not that we don't want to be happy, but we're scared of what happiness might mean for us, for our identity. That's pretty insightful.
She digs even deeper into this with the concept of the upper limit on happiness. Basically, many of us subconsciously set a ceiling on how much joy and fulfillment we're allowed to experience.
It's like we believe we're only entitled to a certain amount of happiness, and
Mm.
anything more than that just feels wrong somehow.
Waitus challenges us to break free from those self-imposed limitations, to embrace the possibility of experiencing limitless joy.
This is really making me reevaluate my whole relationship with happiness. It's incredibly freeing to realize that we can choose to expand our capacity for joy.
Absolutely. Okay, now get ready for this next idea. This one really resonated with me. Prioritizing how our lives feel over how they look.
That's so important. In our image-obsessed world, it's easy to get caught up in appearances, trying to project a certain persona, meet these external standards.
It's about shifting our attention inward, tuning into our own internal compass, making choices that resonate with our true selves, even if they don't necessarily align with what society expects of us.
A reminder that genuine fulfillment comes from living a life that feels right for us, not from trying to impress others.
Now, she also examines the psychology of becoming unstuck, especially when we're trying to form new habits, break free from old patterns. She breaks down habit formation into 3 stages: cognitive, associative, and autonomous.
Okay, let's break that down a bit. The cognitive stage is when we're first learning a new skill, a new behavior. It requires conscious effort.
Right. Then there's the associative stage. Things start to feel a bit more effortless. We don't have to think as much about what we're doing.
And then the autonomous stage. This is where the behavior becomes automatic, almost like second nature. We're basically on autopilot.
This is where those new habits really stick, become integrated into our lives. We don't need to rely on willpower anymore.
So what happens between those stages?
Well, Weiss says that it's often somewhere between the associative and autonomous stages where people hit a plateau or even give up.
It's that point where we're putting in the work, but we're not seeing the results we hoped for. That can be so discouraging.
She encourages us to push through those challenging phases, to remember that the road to mastery isn't always smooth or easy. It takes persistence and a willingness to embrace those setbacks as opportunities to learn.
That's so empowering. It's a reminder to trust the process, to keep going, even when progress seems slow. Believe in our ability to overcome those obstacles.
Okay, now brace yourself for this next one. It's pretty powerful. Wise proposes that mental breakdowns can actually be emotional breakthroughs in disguise.
That's a really interesting way to reframe a difficult experience. What leads her to that conclusion?
It's about understanding that those times of intense inner turmoil, even though they're painful and confusing, can be catalysts for transformation.
It's like we're forced to confront our limiting beliefs, those unhealthy patterns. And by tearing down the old, we create space for something new and authentic to emerge.
Weiss gives a few signs that a breakdown might be shifting into a breakthrough. Things like questioning your long-held beliefs, recognizing the difference between happy thoughts and genuine happiness, identifying those recurring patterns in your behavior.
So it's about becoming more aware of our inner world, right? Challenging our assumptions and choosing to no longer be victims of our own minds.
All right, get ready for this next one. It might challenge some conventional thinking about happiness. Wiest argues that people who prioritize logic actually tend to have more fulfilling lives than those who prioritize passion above all else.
That's interesting. It seems counterintuitive in a culture that often glorifies passion. Why did she make that distinction?
Well, passion can be a powerful driving force, but it can also be fleeting, unpredictable.
It's like basing our happiness on something external, something that changes constantly,
Yeah.
not a very stable foundation.
Exactly. Wyeth suggests that logic, on the other hand, provides a more stable groundwork for happiness. It allows us to make thoughtful decisions that align with our long-term goals and well-being. We're not just getting swept away by our emotions.
So it's about finding that balance, right,
Mhm.
between passion and practicality. Recognizing that true fulfillment often comes from pursuing our passions while also making wise choices that support our overall happiness. That really resonates with me.
Wiesus asks us to ponder this question. Why would a soul choose to inhabit a physical body? She suggests it's through these human experiences, the joys and the sorrows, that we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves, of the universe.
That's such a profound thought. It elevates our existence beyond the everyday,
Mhm.
makes us think about the deeper meaning and purpose of being alive.
It's through our senses, our emotions, our interactions that we really come alive. Those moments of joy, of pain, of love, of loss, that's where we cultivate compassion, empathy, wisdom.
It's like our souls are on a journey of discovery, and our bodies are the vehicles that allow us to experience it all.
Now, in a world that often emphasizes being extroverted, being socially engaged all the time, Wiesist offers a fresh perspective on the value of solitude. She argues that loneliness is a concept, a belief that we're disconnected. True connection, she says, starts with our relationship with ourselves.
That's so liberating. It challenges the idea that we need constant social interaction to feel fulfilled.
It's realizing that we can experience deep connection and fulfillment even in moments of solitude, and that those times of introspection are crucial for growth.
She also challenges this idea that we must constantly be doing, always be productive.
She argues that what we perceive as doing nothing is actually essential for our well-being. Those times of rest and quiet, that's when our brains process, make connections, recharge.
Rest isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. And incorporating it into our lives can make us more creative, more productive, happier overall.
In a culture so focused on image, Wiest dedicates a whole section of her book to 101 things that are more important than what your body looks like. She wants us to shift our focus away from appearances and embrace a more holistic, more compassionate view of ourselves and others.
That's such an important message, especially today. It reminds us that true beauty lies in our character, our kindness, our capacity for love.
Wiest ends her book with this simple yet profound statement. Now is all you have. It's a call to embrace the present moment, to let go of regrets and anxieties, and to fully experience the richness of right now.
What a beautiful way to wrap up this exploration. It's a reminder to savor the simple joys, to appreciate the people we love, to pursue our passions, and to live each day with gratitude and wonder.
So, as we conclude our deep dive into Brianna Wiest's 101 essays that will change the way you think, let's leave you with a few key takeaways to ponder.
Okay, hit me with those final nuggets of wisdom.
Here are 10 things we hope you'll remember from this journey. Change your mind to change your life. Happiness is a process. You are more than your body or your thoughts. Don't be afraid to experience true joy. Focus on how your life feels. Embrace discomfort as a catalyst for growth. Let go of the need to control others. Build your identity on resilience and compassion. Find true connection within yourself and remember that now is all you have.
That was such an incredible journey. Brianna Wiest's 101 Essays truly offers wisdom that can transform us if we're willing to embrace her challenges.
It's not about being perfect or achieving some ultimate state of happiness. It's about understanding ourselves, our connection with the world around us, and the potential that lies within each of us.
If you enjoyed this deep dive as much as we did, we highly recommend checking out the full book. Keep questioning, keep learning, and keep exploring the beauty of being human. Thanks for joining us, and until next time.